All right, back again with another Footy on 9 season preview with Nathan Brown. Brownie, we'll have a look at the Eagles now and a relatively quiet off-season, I guess, on the ins and outs front.
Yeah, it was, but they had picked up a couple of handy players, a couple of depth players in Langdon and also Alex Witherden. Alex Witherden's the one that interests me from the Brisbane Lions. I often wondered why he was out of the side last year. He came back in and he was a high possession gatherer, so I think for West Coast he's a great pickup.
Once again, their midfield looks phenomenal on paper. Nick Nat, Shuey, Shee, Gaff, Kelly and Yo. Where do you rate them amongst the best in the comp?
Well, it's the best midfield in the comp. It is the best midfield in the comp. Nick Nat and Yui just gives them an armchair ride. They got so many players who can roll through there and goal scorers. Elliot Yeo, we've heard he's got a little bit of a groin issue at the moment. Does he play round one? But for me, West Coast, the best midfield in the competition. That's where you win and lose against West Coast. If you can hold West Coast midfield, you can hold Kelly, you can hold Shuey, you can hold Yo, then you're well on your way to winning the game.
I guess some were a bit underwhelmed last year with Tim Kelly's first year at the club. How do they unlock the best of Tim Kelly?
Well, he started slowly, Tim Kelly. He started very slowly, but I thought his middle part and his end of the year, you started to see that Tim Kelly we saw at Geelong. I think he's going to strip fitter this year, a full pre-season into him, and I think Tim Kelly, you're going to see the Tim Kelly we saw at Geelong. I think he's going to explode.
Up forward, they're very dynamic. Josh Kennedy, Liam Ryan, Jack Darling and young Oscar Allen. How do you see that forward line performing this year?
Yeah, it's a hard forward line to stop when you've got so many players who can roll through there. And again, they can kick into the forward line long with confidence because you've got Darling and you've got Kennedy. A lot of people talk about Kennedy in his age, but he still played 17 games last year, kicked 34 goals, second in the Coleman. So don't worry about Josh Kennedy's age. I think he's going to be good again this year. Liam Ryan, he's the one. I think he's the one that's going to cause a lot of defenders some problems because so much focus goes on to Josh Kennedy. So much focus goes on to Jack Darling. This guy can mark it. He can use it at ground level. He can go back. He's courageous. And I tell you what, when he gets it, he doesn't miss. He is a wonderful player, Liam Ryan.
And we're a long way away from August, but Willie Rowley has been allowed to return later in the year. How do you see that playing out, maybe going into a final series?
It's a risk to play. I'd love to see Willie Rowley come back and play. But if West Coast are in finals contention, you know, they're 4th, 5th, around that mark where they normally are, it is a risk to bring someone in who hasn't played football for 2 years. So, look, if they look like missing the finals, then maybe you might throw Willie Rowley in. But obviously, it's a long way away.
You mentioned Josh Kennedy and Elliot Yeo's sort of age and injury battles. How important do you see a clean bill of health being for the Eagles this year?
Yeah, like any club, a clean bill of health is massive. But we saw time and time again last year, West Coast had a few players come in, come out. They had a few injury concerns last year, but they're able to cover that. So they bat deep, the West Coast Eagles, and when you bat deep through the midfield, that's when you're able to, withstand those injuries and absorb those players being out. And West Coast is one of those sides that can absorb injuries.
All right, we'll jump on to your predictions now. Who do you see as the big improver at the West Coast Eagles?
Well, the big improver for me is the player they got from Brisbane, Alex Witherden. I think he can slot into that side at West Coast, whether it's on the wing, whether it's at half back, and be a high possession player and just add to that depth that West Coast have. So watch Alex Witherden to really shine this year.
And who do you see as the pressure player this year?
Well, all eyes are on Tim Kelly, and I think he can handle that pressure, Tim Kelly. He came from Geelong, high-price recruit, but I think he's had 1 year at West Coast now, fully fit, coming into this pre-season. I think Tim Kelly, a little bit under pressure, but I think he can handle it.
They finished 5th last year before bowing out to Collingwood at home in the first final. Where do you see him finishing on the ladder?
I think we're around the same. I think they're anywhere from 4th to 6th. So they'll be pushing for that top 4 spot, and they need a top 4 spot to get that home final, but somewhere around that 4th to 6th.